All right, welcome to another edition of the Easton Team Podcast, where we interview different people from Easton, whether they're students, part of instructors, staff members, or on the peripheries of Easton. And today we have Tyra Pritt. She is the AOD as well as the kids department head at Easton Longmont. Hopefully it'll show up last time, we had River on, the GM of Longmont. They're partners in crime. I'm excited to interview Tyra today. She's a big part of the Longmont community. She's been there from the early days. Her kids, Rowdy and Wyatt, started as kids, and now they're both teachers. I don't know if Rowdy coaches yet.
Yeah, he just started.
They're big parts of the community, and just they're staples there. And she's been through all the transition of all the GMs. She's been a mom, a parent, and then a student, and then a coach. So she has quite a bit to share, I'm sure. So let's get started. Tyra, how are you doing today?
I'm great. How are you?
I'm sick with the rest of the family, but that's like how wintertime goes with little kids, I feel like. Mm-hmm. But you're not sick anymore? You're not sick?
Nope. I'm over it. I still have a little bit lingering of like my voice and stuff, but it's all gone. So
good. Hopefully it's short-lived. I usually go through sickness pretty quickly. So I'm banking on that. Are you, so you said you already trained this morning. By the way, it's 9 a.m. our time. And so she's already trained, showered, and looks what time do you all train at?
We usually train around 8:30, but we did 8 today. So I just got a couple rounds in and hurried home to get on here. So.
Oh, you start for this podcast? You started?
Yeah.
Oh, I feel so.
No, don't.
Well, that's awesome. I appreciate. Sorry, we took some training.
It's okay. I'll train again at noon.
Tyra, how many sessions of Jiu Jitsu do you put in personally a week, do you think?
At least 7. 6 to 7.
43, by the way. She's my age. When's your birthday?
September.
You're 44?
September of 1983.
Okay. Oh, so you're 42?
I am 42.
Oh, I'm a fucking year and a half. I'm a year and 2 months older than you. So Tyra puts in 7 days a week of training, at least. Mm-hmm. And I put in 1 to 2 of jiu-jitsu. That's incredible. And she trains super hard every single training. She's 120 pounds. So she trains with all big people. So just to put that in perspective for anybody out there that is complaining about I don't think she's on TRT. So no. She's like every other man in their 40s. So she is putting in 7 hours a week. She's not injured. I'm not, don't want to knock on wood here. Trains super hard. Do you do a lot of stretching or strength training or anything to keep yourself in balance?
I do a little bit of strength training. I was definitely more consistent with it last year, and then I had like a back thing that was really bugging me. So I peeled off just a little because it felt like it was overworking my body to kind of train that much and lift regularly. Yeah, so totally. I try to get in at least a couple of days a week of strength training. I definitely should do more stretching.
Yeah, I wouldn't do more than 2 days a week of strength training with the amount of jiu-jitsu you're doing would be terrible.
Yeah.
And stretching is so hard to do. It's just so boring compared to everything.
It is.
Strength training sucks too compared to jiu-jitsu.
Right.
I get it.
Yeah,
I want to repeat for anybody that's listening, because I think maybe people listen at the beginning of this. She's 42. She trains 7 days a week, and she's like a mom of 2 children in high school. And she trains really fucking hard every time she trains with big people. I mean, I go out there and I'm like, I watch her and I'm like, you're going to kill yourself or somebody, but she's luckily smaller than everybody else. So we don't have to worry about her injuring people, but she gets after it. Like I see 20-year-olds that are like frothing at the mouth. That is Tyra. She's like a 20-year-old frothing at the mouth, like hyped up on freaking testosterone. It's insane.
River calls me the juvenile master.
Well, man, speaking of which, you've had a couple of victories in Masters Worlds, right? What are some of your higher major accolades?
Yeah, so I won Master Worlds at Blue Belt. That was my biggest. I was really, really proud of that. I won every match by submission and nobody scored points on me. So
that was Master 3 or 2?
That was Master 3.
Okay.
Yep. And then I also won American Nationals. I got double gold at that. Gi and no gi this year, and the open weight. So that was really cool. That was at Blue Belt too.
Blue?
That was blue.
Okay.
And then I got my purple belt in July. And then did Master Worlds, and I won my first match, and I lost my second match to the person I beat in the finals at my blue belt match. So I'm coming back again this year.
Yeah, I was there. I was in the corner for that match. That's right. I saw that match. You were a savage. The purple belt's a fun journey. I don't know. Masters is obviously going to be different than adults about like what you're facing. but at the highest level, you're going to see some top level competitors, and it's always fun to you end up this as big as jiu-jitsu is these days. At the big majors, you'll end up seeing the same faces because they're the ones that decide to dedicate to push themselves to that spot. So
Yeah, well, it was interesting this year because, I got my purple belt in July, and it's easy to kind of get sometimes for me imposter syndrome, be like, do I deserve a purple belt? But then I was in the bullpen with, I don't know, 4 or 5 people I've competed with at blue belt. So I was like, and we were all purple belts now, and I was like, okay, I guess this is where I'm supposed to be.
yeah, no, you'll
Yeah,
see the faces. That's funny that it's still the same.
yeah.
That's super cool. Do you have a preference of gi or no gi?
I like gi.
You
Gi's
like
my
gi?
favorite.
Okay. What about River? What about your co-conspirator? I know he loves no gi, but it seems like he's leaning
He
the other
actually
way.
really likes the gi. I think he likes both pretty equally. It depends on what he's training, but he does really like the gi. And I think we all agree that it's like the creativity you can have with the gi that's really appealing for us.
I
So,
like it because I can slow the game down.
yeah,
Because
I
like,
definitely like my grips.
yeah, when I'm training with the 20-year-olds, like I could scramble all day, and I'm like, I am getting tired. But in the
Yeah.
gi, I can just hold them in place, like just
Yeah.
stay still for a
Hold
minute.
on a second. Yeah.
Yeah, you breathe. So, and it's funny because we have the competition training, and I miss all the gi days, and I'm just into the
Yeah.
no gi. And I don't love no gi very much, and I'm like,
Yeah.
again, it's no gi.
Yeah.
Pretty funny.
Yeah. I
Um,
remember when I didn't like no gi at all, and River just kept trying to tell me, he's like, it's jujitsu. It doesn't matter if it's gi or no gi, it's jujitsu. And now I train both equally and love them both. So,
I like that philosophy. I
yeah.
mean, it's hard to subscribe to that, but it's true. Like, man, what is the reason you're out here? It's like, man, I just want to be having fun and use my brain and
Yeah.
work hard.
Yeah.
That's cool. Okay, let's back up a little bit. So how did you find Easton? And then let's talk. I may cut in, but let's talk about a little bit from your journey from finding Easton to your kids to joining to working to kind of. We'll get all the way up to like, your transition into AOD and taking over the kids program.
Cool. So, Rowdy was a rambunctious young man, little boy, and we wanted to find an outlet for him. And
How
I
old was he?
remember he was 9 when we started, and I'd been listening to a podcast, a Joe Rogan podcast with Jocko on it, and he talked about jujitsu. And I remember going to Josh. I was like, "You have to listen to this podcast. I think this is exactly what Marshall needs." Because for those of you that don't know, that's his real name is Marshall. Um,
Yeah, he's nicknamed Rowdy at Easton,
yeah,
and it hasn't turned back.
yes, and he's like, "Don't tell people," but I just told everyone. But it's fine. But I was like, "This is gonna be perfect for him. I think we should give it a try." And he had a friend that his kids trained jujitsu, so he asked him for like a reference, and they trained in somewhere in Louisville. But he said there's a gym Easton in Longmont that's really well known, so you should look it up. And so I just did the thing for the free class and came in and did the free class. And I remember it was Jordan and Ines there. He was like,
Jordan
"Oh,
was the
I
general manager at the time, and Ines
yep,
was running the front desk.
yep." And they came in and we went in, and it was just the two of them when we got there, and it was like they were so friendly, and like Jordan was so engaged with Rowdy right off the bat, and Rowdy fell in love. I mean, from the get go. And so I spent like 6 to 8 months just watching him. I would just sit on the benches, and I loved it, and he had so much fun with it. And then in October, so that was in 2021, in October of that year, I was convinced to try it. Like I just kept sitting there watching, thinking like, gosh, I think about this a lot. Like, and I'm not even doing it. And I didn't want to be one of those parents that was like, you should do this and that, because I was thinking about it just because I was intrigued by it. And there was other moms that sat on the benches that started training, and they were like, you should try a class with us. And so eventually I tried the ladies class with Ashley. That was the first class I tried. And I fell in love from that point. I mean, the first thing I learned was De La Hiva and S mount armbar. And De La Hiva is like the biggest thing in my game. It's so funny that like we say that about the kids, that like you teach them an armbar and they just armbar everybody forever. That's kind of how I was with De La Hiva.
Yeah.
So yeah, so I started, and I would just do the ladies classes a little bit. And I remember Jordan like gave me a gi because I was one of those moms who I wasn't gonna do anything for myself. Like I was like, I can't sign up because I can't spend money on myself. I can't do this.
You're
And
still
so
that person, but
yeah. So he
working.
just let me do the ladies classes for a while and stuff. And then before you knew it, I was in fundies, and I did fundies for a long time because I was really nervous to go on to like all levels or anything like that. And then I slowly started doing the all levels classes at noon. And before you knew it, I was training like 3 times a week and just totally fell in love. And And Wyatt started at the same time I did. He started in October of that 2021 as well. So we both started at the same time. Um, and yeah, we just all trained for quite some time. And then wasn't I was a one stripe when Jen asked me to help coach because it was Longmont was still really fresh and just needed a body to keep kids from running into each other. So I wasn't even like coaching. I was like, please don't let kids run into each other. Like
Yeah,
that
yeah,
was
just
my
you
that was
doing
my
it.
job. And I just started eventually, working my way up through the kids coaching stuff and fell in love doing that. And it's really cool with that in particular because when the kids were little, I would like volunteer at their preschool and stuff and be like, I really love working with kids. Like maybe I should have been a teacher. And I actually went to be a para for a while, a preschool para. And I was like, well, this isn't the spark that I was thinking I was going to have working with kids, like this is kind of lame. And then, but then I started working with kids and coaching jujitsu, and this was it. Like, that's it. That's what I want to impact kids. Like, I want to be a part of their journey in life, not just like make them sit still and help them, walk to the bathroom and stuff. Like, I wanted to like engage with them in a way that was meaningful, and jujitsu definitely, and Easton gave me that opportunity. So that's really special to me. Um, and so, I did that for a while, and then Phil took over as GM there, and he approached me about being the DFI. So I was ecstatic about that opportunity to make more of a career at Easton and like get paid and just be a part of this community that I love so much, because I think it's super cool the impact that we can just have on people's lives. And so the more I could
For
be
those of
involved with
you,
that.
for those who don't know, DFI is Director of First Impression. The Director of First Impressions, that is the person that is in charge of the front desk at Easton. This is a name I found First Impression Specialist, this random acronym somewhere back in 2012 when I was trying to like open Boulder, the bigger one, and I created these names that were like less front desky, and I wanted to know how important their titles were. So I came up with this one. I think I read it somewhere. I don't know where. And I made everybody start calling the titles that. And that's where. And anyway, Director First Impression is the one that runs the front desk, and the front desk team are called First Impression Specialists. Anyway, continue. Just for those who don't know.
It's such a good name though, because it's true. We are like the first impression that people get when they walk into Easton. So I love that name. But yeah, so I became the DFI, and I was working the front desk and coaching, and just found a lot of joy in finding like my power of leadership that I didn't really know I had, like even as far as coaching and at the front desk. And it was just like, it's been this journey of like getting to know myself in a way that I didn't know even was there, So I remember being nervous my first time coaching and having to speak in front of parents watching me say things to the kids. And now like I'm at this place where I'm like running classes, like, and I have this sometimes where I like feel like I look down upon myself, like, look where you are, look how far you've come. And it's just really cool. So, but anyways, yeah, so I worked DFI and I coached, and then this year, I was given the opportunity to take over the kids DH because River was moving into the GM role, and then also the AOD role, which is something that I actually really aspired to do when I took on the DFI role. I had seen it come through one of our emails as like a job opportunity at another school, and I read it, and I was like, I have a lot of those, like I have a lot of things that could contribute to that role. I want to do that someday. And so yeah, it was kind of like a full circle moment when I was given the opportunity to do AOD and the kids DH, and just like really special to me because it's what I wanted to do. So it's both the things that I feel like I just kind of naturally have had, and then the things that I aspire to do with kids and stuff. So that's where we are today.
Yeah, no, I have some comments. So the AOD role, for people that don't understand, it's like an assistant GM. And usually we don't have that role implemented around 700 or 800 students, like the Boulder and Denver school. But what we did with Longmont, because of Tyra lives at the school, right? And because she's a kids department head, and she teaches so much, that we're able to create a hybrid role where she could like share the load of like what an AOD would mostly have, but also with the kids department head role. So it made like a hybrid AOD DH role, because Longmont can't fully sustain an AOD at its current size. But Tyra and River work so closely together since like day one that they're able to, like, it's like a two-headed snake with those two. Like they're able to completely run the school like synergistically, especially since he used to be a kid's DH and they both really understood admin very well. He's a really good jiu-jitsu coach and he's been doing striking arts since he was a kid. So he can pay a lot of attention to Muay Thai. So we're super fortunate to have that dedication and be able to create these hybrid things to make it work. Because that's kind of how we have to do. We have all these menus we choose from to build something, but not everything's going to fit a perfect puzzle. So we got to always make shifts. And the other thing that I think is important to note, I think plenty of people know who Tyra is, and she's very like sweet and kind, and and she is, from my perspective, she is very sweet. And when she's on the mat, she's also pretty intense but sweet. When she's a kids coach, you see another side of her. Like she is sweet, but this is what I really like about her. Like I'm a big believer holding my kids accountable. Maybe I push them, I don't push them hard, but I can be hard on them. And I think Tyra strikes a really good balance of she will be there for all the kids, but she doesn't take shit from them. And I think that's really important, especially in a martial arts coach. Like I think if I look back on my best coaches or teachers in history of my life, the ones that I loved the most were the ones that held me accountable. Like they weren't always like super sweet to me, but like they really cared and they didn't let me fall short. They held me to my potential. And I think Tyra really does, and River both embody that really as coaches, which I think sometimes is hard for parents to see, like when you're hard on their 4 or 5-year-old, it's not that she's hard on them, but she holds them accountable because they can be. And that's the job of a coach. Like a parent can't always do that because it can create resentment with the kid. The relationship can be hard. I was talking to Coach Leister Bowling the other day. He's like, man, I didn't coach my kid in wrestling. He's like, because I knew it would have turned him off and I would have been he just like, it wasn't the right thing, but I had all these great coaches that could do it and I could talk to them on the side if I had to. Mm-hmm. And Leach is an incredible wrestling coach. So I think about Tyra in that regard, like in River, like they are the people for me. It's like, dude, these are the people I want coaching my kids because they'll hold them accountable, but also they really care. It's not like it's that Buddhist idea where like clarity and honesty are really important, but if you're not kind, it's all kind of pointless. So mm-hmm. I think they do a really good job of that, of staying really honest, really clear. They're always kind, but they don't take shit. And that's why we have tough kids in Longmont, and that's why they're tough. So just to follow up on that piece. And then, those are the 2 pieces I wanted to comment on. And now you're in AOD, you're doing all that stuff, yep. And so I want to continue talking about that a little bit, but I'm also curious, do you have a preference like in the role? Like when you're you're at Easton all day, it feels like, even though you shouldn't mm-hmm. be. Do you have a preference in like what you prefer? Like
it's really hard because I actually enjoy both in very different ways. So I think it honestly depends on the week, like just kind of the mood I'm in, right? Like sometimes I just get so pumped to go out there and teach a class, and sometimes I really get involved in like, analyzing things and behind the scenes and kind of like what we could do to, bring more people in and stuff like that. So I don't know that I do have a preference. It's actually this just kind of really cool opportunity to do both things that I really love. I think I find fun in both of them. I find joy in both of them. So I don't know that I have a preference.
So like, I always like throwing our values out when I can. So it's like mm-hmm. Excellent compassion, trust, stewardship, and adaptability. Mm-hmm. And I think one of the things that she's talking about here that makes me think about like being adaptable, which is a value we added a couple years ago, is really key, and I think she's obviously we're gonna lean towards things that we have preferences for. I think that's how we are, but I think I'm with Tyra. Like maybe it's my ADD. I'm not really sure, but some days I like sitting at my computer and working my ass off, and sometimes I like being somewhere else and trying to build what the future is going to be. And then lately I've been part of the competition classes in Longmont and now in Boulder, and I'm not teaching really. I'm just running the class or helping run the class. And man, it is so exciting to go in there and watch people just push themselves on the mat physically, and getting away from this, the constant like knowledge work I'm trying to do. I'm not saying I'm great at it, but like, it's nice to have the mix up, it's like, oh, cool. Now I can go do this week. I'm really into this. And some weeks I'm not into that, but
yeah,
when that happens, it happens. Push
exactly.
Yeah. So what gives you the fire to get up and train 7 days a week? I
really, for one, it's just fun to me. Like it really is just like it's a game, it's strategy. My brain really works well off of that. Like I really like figuring, it's like a puzzle that I get to go do and play with my friends every day, you know? That, and then just like pushing myself on the days I don't want to. It's a different thing. Like that's learning to, push through when I feel like quitting and kind of being weak, and I always feel good when I go ahead and go train. And it's just like a physical outlet in life that um, never fails to make me feel good about myself and um, the stuff that I'm capable of doing. I'm really, when I found jujitsu, it was like a year after my dad had passed away from cancer. And watching him pass away was really, really brutal and really gave me appreciation for life, that like we have one to live. We get to live one life. And it's important that we make the most of it. And I have a body that can do these things, and I'm going to do it. And I'm not, there's people that would love to be able to get up and go for a run or a walk, and maybe they're sick or maybe they have a disability that doesn't allow them to do it. And I have a body that does, and I need to take full advantage of that. And that's some of the things that drive me to train every day.
When did your father pass?
August of 2020.
August of 2020.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Yeah.
So a little less than a year before I started jiu-jitsu. So.
Is your mother still alive?
Yeah.
Were they still together?
No. They had been separated for over 20 years. They never divorced, but they had been separated for a really long time. And I'm an only child. And so I was the caretaker when he was passing, and it was during COVID. And so like not a lot of people could even be around him. And it was just like, for the most part, him, me, and my uncle, and the kids would come visit sometimes, just as he was in hospice and kind of going out. And it was brutal. But.
Yeah. And you were still close with him
Oh yeah. I was a daddy's girl.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah.
That's a lot. That's because he was local. So you were a caretaker. It was all in all the time. So it's not like it was like someone in your life that was a constant is no longer there anymore.
Right.
I mean, don't get me wrong, death is challenging no matter what, but there's something about something that's here that's so consistent then suddenly not there.
He was my rock in life. He really was. Like I always had him to lean on. And that's the other thing, I think, like jiu-jitsu's really helped me to just learn to be there for myself. I got this no matter what. So whether I'm in the bottom of mount with some giant or whatever, I got this. I got to get out on my own. I got to do this. So
yeah. Well, that's that's I'm sure we all have similar stories that can help, but I think what's important is using that as a perspective to like help us guide our life a little bit. I know I use stuff like that a lot. Like
well, and when I first started, it really helped me because because his death was pretty traumatic to me and stuff, like like cycling through thinking about it all the time was really, really hard, and I did it a lot. But then jiu-jitsu gave me something new to think about and something new to like focus on, and so that it was very healing in that way as well. So
yeah, man, that's a hard loss. Well, I appreciate you sharing that with us.
Thanks.
So you continuing off of that or going a little bit further, I'm sure it was tough for your kids as well. You mentioned, I had a question kind of around this overthinking thing. It always seems like your mind is going, right? When I talk to you, when you have messages on Boxer or whatever it is, you're thinking through things. I don't want to say overthinking because I feel like that has a bad connotation to it. So that's not what I meant. Is that Wyatt? Is he home?
Yes, I didn't know he was coming home from school. Sorry.
He's creeping through with his hat on.
He's on his off break.
Amazing. His hair is not showing. It's like he's just like this black figure walking through the shadow, walking through the camera. So that being said, are you a chronic overthinker? Like, do you?
Oh yeah.
I didn't mean to say that. I was trying not to say that. God damn it. Are you like? Does your brain constantly run and does it something that like affects your sleep and your mood and stuff?
Yep, 100%. No doubt about it.
So
it's a problem.
Do you battle with this at night? Like going to sleep, or do you wake up like?
I wake up. If I wake up in the middle of the night, like it's so hard for me to go back to sleep because my brain immediately turns on and starts going, and it's like I'm sleeping.
Yeah, you're not supposed
It's
to be
tough.
awake right now. Exactly.
Yeah.
Go back to sleep.
Hmm.
Yeah, yeah, and I know a lot of people battle with that, and trying to find out different ways to. I know going to bed for me, I was like, all right, so what is my plan tonight? If I wake up, how am I going to get past this analyzing? But you get these epiphanies too sometimes. Like, oh, that's the answer to that problem.
Yeah,
Now I have it.
exactly.
You know.
Exactly. I've even been guilty of like if I can't go back to sleep, I'll just get up and start working, and then that's not good either. But it's
Yeah, it's
like,
unhealthy.
yeah.
All right, so going back in. Sorry, I got tangents out here.
It's
I
okay.
had a couple questions because you
Okay.
teach. I want to talk about the kids program a little bit because that's. I
Hmm.
mean, it's dear to my heart, but
Yeah.
I'm really curious. A couple things here. Um, when you're coaching the kids, whether it's
Mhm.
the little tiger, maybe you can separate little tigers and tigers for me and
Sure.
competitors if you want. When you coach the kids, what is it like when how do you know when to like push them harder or when to like back off? Like what are your triggers or your alerts for you?
Oh, I think it'll depend on the kid. Like some kids are like just show that they get it, right? And they really like connect with how to do things and they have that like intensity to want to push a little harder. So that's one way that I see when it's time to push a little harder. And some of them, it's like when they just find it easy to kind of like find an out, and they keep doing that same thing over and over again in a bad position, or and I find that's an opportunity to be like, hey, I know you can do this, and maybe it's like I see them with somebody who doesn't push them as hard, and they'll like go for it. But then if there's somebody that they're training with that really like they feel is better than them and stronger than them, and they'll just shut down and they won't even try, but I know they can, that's another time that I'm like, okay, I know what you're capable of, and I feel like we're letting fear or doubt or something like that stop us right now, and you got to keep pushing. You got to get through this. And gosh, some of my favorite moments with the kids have been when they've pushed past those walls and hit new levels because of that pushing. So I think there's different reasons to push a little more. So those would be them, like the kids that just like have the drive and the desire to do a little more, and then the kids that like I've seen them do it, and then they try to like back off when they shouldn't. So
And how do you push them? What do you do in that moment?
when they're if it's a situation like that, I'll just like kind of get a little stern, like I do, not mean, but like, hey, I can see that you want to quit right now. You can't just do that. You can't quit right now. You got to get out of this position. Nobody just laying there crying isn't going to get you out of this position. You have to push on his knees and get your legs out and get your feet in front. That's going to make this feel better, like stuff like that. Really encouraging through those moments. Maybe talking to them after class. There's been a couple I can think of that we've had to like have some talks before and after class about what it's going to look like training next time, and that I believe in them and I've seen them do hard things, and I want them when they feel like they can't to push through. We had this one little boy, God, he would make my heart just swell. He would get stuck on the bottom of the mountain and he would just cry. And I would be like, Jamie, I need you right now to say, I can do this. And he would be crying. He'd be like, I can do this. And I'd be like, keep going, Jamie. Just push a bridge and get out of there. Say, I can do this. He'd be like, I can do this. And he would just do it. It was like the most heartwarming but like heartbreaking thing all at the same time. But he did it and he wouldn't quit. And it's to me that's such a big deal, and like skills that these kids will take on through life. Like he doesn't do jujitsu anymore, but I have no doubt that that is going to go with him wherever he goes, because there was several classes where we had to do that and he would just say it and he would believe it even though he was like so frustrated. And it was just so powerful to be somebody to help him find that in himself. So
Do you? And that's beautiful, and I love that.
things.
I love that story. Do you? Do you pre-frame the classes too, like when you're seeing these issues
Mhm.
constant, or just like to make sure that because it's a cultural thing too, right? Because you want people to
Yep,
keep each other accountable. So how do you
absolutely.
set up the class for success in those moments?
Yeah, for sure. So every
And because kids
class.
don't fucking listen either, like they have to listen to
Exactly.
you.
So little tigers and bigs, I do it differently, right? So especially with the little tigers, we kind of have like the same like things we say every time before class, but I really try to emphasize like what it means. Like when somebody's taking you down, you get back up. And that I mean it. You actually get back up. I don't just say that for something for us fun to say. Like you have to get back up if somebody takes you down. If your hips hit the mat, you need to come back up. And we kind of make it more of like a fun, engaging thing with that. when it comes with the Tigers, I usually, like, it's right before takedown rounds and stuff. I explain to them that, like, if you're dealing with a bully or if you're in competition and somebody takes you down, that's not good. You can't just accept that. You have to fight to get out of those positions. You have to be fighting to get back to your feet, or if you're taking somebody down because they're coming after you, you have to hold them down. Like, I explained to them what that looks like and that we can't just give up. And we also talk a lot about, like, how we practice anything is how it's going to be in real life, right? So
Right.
yes, so we talk about that a lot before takedown rounds and training rounds, and the importance of not just laying there and trying to stay safe, right? Like, that's not going to save you in a real life bully situation or in a competition. Yeah, I just try to pre-frame any of our training like that every time.
I love that.
So, and I
I
think
love it.
that's what contributes to, like, a culture, is that we do it every time.
Okay, so when or if is there a time to back off?
Um, I'm so hard on them sometimes. My first instinct's like, no.
That's why I added the if, because I'd be like, no,
Yeah, I
there
don't
isn't.
think so. I mean, no.
It's like there's not. That's funny.
I mean,
Um,
I don't feel like we're like so hard that it's scary. Like, we're just trying to tell them the importance of what they're learning and what we're going for, whether they're there for self-esteem or whether they're there for competition or protect themselves from bullies. It's all comes down to the same thing, right? Like, you have to push through hard things to get through all of it. So I don't
yeah,
know
and
if
I
we pull
think
back.
one thing that we really try to. I've been having this conversation a lot. One of my kids' friends does karate, and I talked to River about this a lot yesterday, and like asking like the parents like the why behind what they're doing karate, and
Hmm.
independent of the karate they're doing, because most karate is the kata is not so much full combat karate,
Hmm.
or full contact. So like there's this thing, I walked up on Calvin and his friend the other day, and they were talking about it because his friend, and I was like, so Calvin's trying to explain. He's like, well, I mean, they proved that jiu-jitsu is better through the UFC because they did it in 1993. They had a championship and they made everybody fight, and the grappling one beat all these people, blah blah blah. And, and watching him explain this to his friend. His friend's very bright, right? Uh, and and I was like, well, why are you doing it? And he goes, well, focus and discipline and self-defense. I'm like, well, if self-defense is part of it, then you should be doing jiu-jitsu. And
Hmm.
I was very gentle with it. I was like, and I'm not on to disparage karate, but the kid's 8, right?
Hmm.
But I'm like, like you get focus and discipline at both of them. But when it comes to self-defense, you're going to learn more in jiu-jitsu. And if you're going to add striking, and Muay Thai is going to be more effective. Um, I may get some haters for this, but I doubt it. So like, but I was like really careful. I was like, but if you're having fun, doesn't matter, blah, blah, blah. Because I don't want to, it's
Yeah.
hard for me not to. But,
Yeah, I can imagine.
uh, well, especially when like River backs it up, who grew up in karate
Yeah.
and he has really strong feelings on
He
it.
validates it for you.
Yeah, it doesn't help at all. And same with Elliot, who grew up in karate. I'm like, you guys are not helping this.
Yeah.
But I have to be careful. So, um, there's a lot of discomfort in jiu-jitsu, right? And that's like a big part of this, when what we do in the beginning is really self-defense. Like, we joined for self-defense and like, focus and discipline, all that stuff. But in general, like for adults too, like self-defense is a really big part of it. And a big part of self-defense isn't just like learning how to stay safe. It's like recognizing like adrenaline dumps and dealing with bullies and dealing with bigger people and dealing with all these different situations and getting really uncomfortable, because in those moments when you have to get in a fight or defend yourself, everything go out the window quickly. So you have to get comfortable being uncomfortable and recognize you're not going to die, like when that flight or fight
Yeah.
response happens. And I think jiu-jitsu does a really good job with that. And I think competition brings it to the next level, because you're going against an opponent you don't know in front of all these people, and that's just extra scary. So you get
Hmm.
that adrenaline dump, which is very similar to what happens in a fight. So um, it's really hard to not see jiu-jitsu as this really powerful tool to help kids, period. It's like,
For
and
sure.
stop, and adults.
Yeah.
Anyway, got on a tangent there. So going deeper into this, how do you, I guess the last one on the kids one I want to ask, because this one I think about kids a lot, is how do you deal with like when a kid is struggling,
Hmm.
or if they're like just kind of avoiding being uncomfortable, like avoiding discomfort? Like if a
Hmm.
kid's like that kid on the bottom, he was crying, but you were able to still push him.
Hmm.
Or is it more like maybe it doesn't matter, whatever it is, as long as you're there to support them?
Right. Yeah, I think there are definitely some kids who really struggle to like push past and the discomfort of it all and stuff. And I think finding success for them can be big, even if it's tiny, right? Like even if I have some, I can think of a tiger right now who just really struggles to stay engaged in any kind of like discomfort. You see them shut down a little. So looking for those little victories, like maybe they went ahead and tried a takedown and they didn't get it, but gosh, I'm so proud that you went for that. That was awesome. And like really hyping up those little victories when they do try, I think is very important as well, especially for those kids who struggle to like really push past that stuff.
Okay, let me ask a personal question then. This is going to be this is like therapy now for me.
Okay.
I coached kids for a long time, and
Mhm.
it's one of my favorite things to do. I love it, but it's different when it's your own children. So, and I see a lot of myself in Calvin, my older kid, and like he has, like we could be like, hey man, go put on your shoes. Remember, what are you going to do? He's like, come and put on my shoes. And where are the shoes? In the closet. Okay, so what are you going to do? Go put on my shoes. And 10 minutes later, I'll find him on the couch with a toy in his hand going, woo, and I'm like, Calvin, we went through, we like practiced exactly what you were going to do so many times.
Yes.
And he goes, what? I'm like, and that was totally me. Like I couldn't focus on anything. So with a kid like Calvin, who's sweet as can be, and he works out super freaking hard at home. He kills it, and he's an amazing lifter. But in jiu-jitsu, it's hard for him to focus on what he's doing. Like sometimes he'll crush it, and sometimes he'll just be like swirling in a circle. What do you do with the kids like that? Like I think jiu-jitsu is great for ADHD, right? I'm not saying my kid has that, and I don't want to label my child, but like he's gonna have a hard time paying attention. What do you do with those kids? Because I feel like I'll give a little bit more. I sucked at sports until I got into high school. I played them all the time. Then I got into high school and a coach saw me, be like, I'm going to put you in this position. And then I became like, I won all the awards. I did really well because your job is to kill the person with the ball. That's all I had to know. And I was like, I can do that. I don't even think about this. It's all I do. That's all I did,
Yeah.
And it worked for me. But like nothing clicked for me. I played football from 8 years old till like 15 in Pop Warner. I didn't even know the difference between offense and defense. This is like 6-7 years of football. I couldn't tell you the difference because I was just like out to lunch.
Right.
So like, what do you do with those kids? The kids that are like hardcore ADHD or just out to lunch?
My son is one of them as well. So, but I let River deal with him. No, no, but I think patience is key. I get way more hands-on with them. I try to be down at their level. If I see them gazing off, I'm like, hey, look in my eyes. We're having a discussion. Look what I'm trying to show you, like it's just, because they do, some of them, they'll just like gaze off and then they'll do something completely different from what I said. So I definitely try to just be a little bit more hands-on with them. I think it's more in like the drilling and stuff for them, like learning the techniques, like the step-by-step is just brutal for them.
I'm still that person, by the way.
Yeah. And there's kids that like, I'll, show the technique and I'll be like, does anybody have any questions? Nope. And the first one, raise their hand. They're like, what are we doing? And it's like, and that's just patience. It's learning to be patient with them. And, sometimes there's some of them that I'll just work with them. And I'm like, you know what, let's let your partner try next. And then we'll come back and we'll try again, like, so yeah, I think that's just the key, like really trying to, and it's going to eventually click, I think it's just having that patience. So
do you find it easier to be patient with the kids than with your kid?
Oh yeah. 1000%.
So with Rowdy, is it like, when he was younger, what would you do in these moments?
Oh my gosh, I would just be like, River, especially like when in coaching and stuff, I was like, because I just couldn't. I couldn't coach my own kid. It just wasn't work. We butt heads. I don't have the patience for him because just like you said, like I literally will say, like, if you're gonna put your shoes on, you're gonna be ready at this time. You're gonna grab your backpack, and then he's off in La La Land doing
fucking 15 years later, the same thing.
It's still the same. So. And actually, I think now that he's 14, we're getting past that. And he is able to kind of like dial it. And that's why I'm like, patience is definitely the key.
Yeah. And the thing is that part about the kid is like, I love that part of him. It's like one of the most endearing qualities. It's like what makes him sweet and kind and imaginative, but it's also the part that makes me want to put my face or his face through the wall. Not that I do that, but like that's what I'm like, dude, this fucking kid.
I have always said for my son in particular, like the things that make it hard for me to parent him are the things that are going to make him a very successful adult leader, whatever in life.
And he is. He's showing that now as a teenager because he doesn't bend, you know.
Yes.
Exactly. That's beautiful. And for those people that don't have the luxury of being a kids coach, I don't even coach Calvin anymore. Like Calvin will look at me in class and I'm on the side and I look away. So like I try now that I have a relationship with the coaches, I'm like, I'll go. And man, I've been the owner of this school since the beginning. I've wanted Longmont at the very beginning, but the first couple of years of being open, I wasn't there a lot. So I didn't even talk to the coaches about, hey man, please help my son with this. Cause I just didn't have the rapport, right? I didn't feel right about it. So now I do. And I'm like, I'll pull a coach aside. I'm like, hey, listen, this kid needs this and my son needs this. So please pay attention to what's happening right now with these two kids or this kid. I'll pull him aside and point it out. Because it's hard to see everything, but like it took me years to be able to be comfortable enough doing that, you know, because I even as the owner, I'm not allowed to coach my kid on the side. So it's like important that trying to follow those protocols.
Yeah.
All right. Let's go a little bit into the dealing with parents a little bit, because I think this is one of the most important parts of being, I would say, a GM, but as well as a kid's department head, not a kid's coach, not a jiu-jitsu department head, but a kid's department head specifically, is really understanding how to work with the parents. Parents are a lot. No offense to you parents out there. Tyra and I are both parents. Yeah. So we're parents of two boys, you know, we care a lot and we have high expectations and we know what it's like to be frustrated. And some parents are better at handling than others, you know? But no matter what, I don't mean to say that even myself, but we are parents and I can be challenging. And I'm like, okay, Mike, you're doing the thing that you can't stand. So how do you do this better? You know, parents need to like look at themselves often and figure out how to do that better. Here's an example that happened yesterday at school that I got really mad about. They have my kids are walkers and Leo's 5 and he walks across the street and then there's this other driveway that they have to walk across in a parking lot. And they sometimes put like 7th graders there with yellow vests on to wave the cars on. And sometimes they don't. But there's no adults. And usually I'm making sure I'm with my kids to walk past that part. But I also try to teach my kids to look both ways. And sometimes they do, sometimes they don't. Leo especially, he's 5. And he's just out to lunch walking. And there's these 2 7th graders and 1 7th grader, both on different sides of the parking lot, talking to each other. Right? But not looking for kids and just waving cars through like this. And there's kids walking underneath their arms right into the cars. And my kid almost walked right into a car they waved through because they're not looking for kids at all. And I'm like, yo, and I stopped the car so my kid didn't get hit. But then I'm like, I can be pretty chill, but I was mad. I was like, where the fuck is an adult? So I went and I crossed the crosswalk right in front of a bunch of cars. And there's like 8 7th graders telling me to stop. And I'm like, hey, you need to listen to us. I'm like, yeah, you need to do a better job.
Yeah.
And then I was like, where's the adult? And I finally I was like, listen to me. I was like, I know you're doing your best here, but those kids over there aren't paying attention. And they almost got my kid hit by a car. And I told her why. And she's like, okay, I understand why you're frustrated. I'm like, okay, thank you very much. Yeah. You know, and I'm like, they need to pay attention and look for kids. Anyway, I was nice and I didn't lecture her but I was fucking mad. I was like the Terminator. I was like, I'm going to fucking kill somebody. Yeah. You know, when it comes to your kid, like it's like everything goes off, you know? Yeah. So that happened. So, and I know parents and listen, I know I'm a very impulsive person, but I also spend a lot of time trying to work on myself with that impulse. And I've been in the kid side and the GM for a very long time before this. So I know what it's like to deal with difficult parents. So now that being said, for all those parents that are listening, how do you deal with the parents? Like, let's just go with a couple examples. How do you deal with the parent that like thinks they know more than you and wants to side coach? How do you put up with that? How do you talk to the parent?
So what I try to do is, because I am a parent, I do think I have that as a benefit to relate to them and understand that what they want is to see their child succeed and root for them. And I get that. I've totally been there myself. I was once just a parent on the sidelines that had the urge to do that as well. So I think relating to them is important. I think explaining the why is the next thing, right? Like explaining, like, I know you want to coach them, and but it's really important that they learn to just to trust us, to listen to our voice, that they're not paying attention to what's going on outside. Explain just like all the different reasons as to why we can't have them coaching from the sidelines. You can't coach against the other kid, and we need your child to focus on what we're trying to teach them. I don't try to tell them they don't know what they're doing, but like find ways to like just be like, I know what I'm doing as their coach.
What if they do know? What if they're like,
I don't know. I've not really had to like if there's like somebody that trains on the sidelines.
Well, what if it was me? Because I've definitely had those moments. I'm like, Calvin, what are you doing? And I'm like, shit, never mind. Don't look at me. I'm like, walk away.
Yeah, in those instances, I probably wouldn't say that and bring that up at all. I would just be like, hey, I really need them to focus on what we're saying and stay focused on their partner, and it's causing a distraction right now and stuff like that. So I just think that's the biggest thing, is like really not reacting in a way that feels confrontational, and just like empathetic at first and understanding where they're coming from, but then explaining the why. And also just staying really assertive in those moments is super important as well, and not being too passive or timid myself.
Yes. Owning the fucking spot, man. That is so key.
Yeah.
Like, and you can do that through how you coach the class. And I think that's been not hard for you, but something you've learned, right?
Yes.
Like,
yes.
And I think you've had good leaders. Like Jordan very much had to learn that, and then he owns the room. And you're at a disadvantage because River and Jordan both are actors, so they're really good at stage presence.
Yes.
Like, people forget that. Like, they did drama club.
I've had to learn that through this.
Yeah, like they are able to act that very assertive role because of not just from the get-go, because of the acting they've done. That people don't realize how much that has helped those two.
Oh yeah,
but it's been huge. And for you, you've got to watch them, but you weren't an actor, and you were like, no, I'm a female in a very male-dominated martial art, and I have to like tell other people what's up. But you're a fucking badass too, so there is that. But I mean, like I didn't realize like at first, like, why is River so good at this so quickly? He fucking just knows he has stage presence.
Yes. Yeah, and that's something hard to learn, and I think it's definitely been beneficial for them. And I think another thing that plays into that for me is being a female on the mats as well. I think I have to really try a little bit harder to stay assertive in my role, and that's difficult for me because I tend to want to, be smaller, and so. But it's been great for me to learn. Yeah,
that's right. Yeah, but you are very assertive with the kids. I just think back to when I was coaching more, and like a parent would never cross me. I was like a brown or black belt. I was competing a lot. And I was also the general manager. So I never like dealt with any parents causing issues for me. Yeah. And I taught like older kids that were more advanced, and people would just listen to what I said. But like there has been some people there was that big jack dude who was like freaking 230, ripped, thought he knew everything, even though he didn't train martial arts. And he was a lot, and it's like putting up with someone like that, and because he thinks he's just a big person and thinks he just can bully anybody. Not all big people think that, but that's like how he went through the world. They ended up quitting, and we refunded their money, and they took the kids out of class.
Yeah.
But the kids were so sweet too.
I know. And that's the downfall, is when parents don't understand how their own intentions and egos can get in the way of their kids sometimes. It's such a bummer.
It's interesting to look at that as a mirror. Like, I would watch that kid in class, like, look at their dad for approval. And I'm like, oh, it looks rough. And then I watched Calvin do it for me. I'm like, fuck, I'm doing the same thing. I'm like, that's not what I want. Because we coach. I coach him at home, and we talk about stuff in the car. But I've actually stopped watching their classes as much as possible and just smile, even if I'm like, can't stand what's happening. Because I feel bad. I saw the mirror of what it looked like, and I was like, oh, I don't want to be that way. I don't want my kid to like, feel this insecurity or shame in class because I'm watching. I just want them to be excited for me to watch them.
Yep. Yep. I've had the same with Rowdy too. I have to be very intentional about what I say after he trains and stuff, and that, just only share positive things. Like, I really loved how hard you tried today and stuff like that, instead of any kind of feedback at all, like as far as technique or anything. It's like, keep it simple. You did great.
And that's what coach is for. This is the point I'm trying to make. Like, man, to be, in my opinion, at least what we have learned, and talking to Leister, his kid's at fucking Iowa now. Like, he's a fucking Hawkeye. I mean, that's the best wrestling school you can get to. Who didn't coach his kid. And then talking to other people that don't coach their kids in that way. And they've maintained a really good relationship with their child. But we have coaches. Like, man, you can be their biggest cheerleader. And then you have their coach to push them super hard, you know? Don't get me wrong. When my kids and I work out, I push them hard, but I try not to do jiu-jitsu with them. I realize that is not. I realize we stop doing that, and then we can train together for fun. But right now, we're not in a place where I can work with them with jiu-jitsu.
Yeah. It's definitely a hard thing to balance for sure.
Oh man. Yeah. So parents, that's a tough one. Let's see. I had some other ones I wrote down here. Let's see. I have some other ones I want to ask. Oh, here's an interesting one I wanted to ask you. Do you think coaching has changed the way you parent at all?
Yeah, I do. I do think so. I think it's made me definitely more aware of the power of my words and how it affects my kids. I just and not that I could just be a hard parent sometimes. Like I have big expectations and I can be really hard on them. But I think in coaching, I've learned the power of, acknowledging the positive things before addressing something that is not going how I want it to. and just being very mindful about how I do that. We do the 3x3 rule in coaching and stuff where we, and praise, correct, praise, stuff like that. Like that's the kind of stuff that has really helped me be just like, it's like when you go to therapy and you learn how to talk to people. It's that same idea with my kids and stuff I use in coaching. It's like, okay, I need to tell them something they did good first. Then I'm going to correct something and then I'm going to tell them how great they are. And, like things like that for sure have definitely helped in how I'm with my kids for sure.
Do you have any, this is hard for me when people ask me this question, but maybe you're good at it. Do you have any like specific examples? Moments like that? Maybe the praise, correct, praise or.
Not that I can think of right off the top.
That's okay. It's tough.
Yeah.
It's tough to pull that one.
Because like right now, the stuff that's like fresh in my head with my kids is like you're on video games too much, and it's hard to praise with that.
Oh man, my kid is finally old enough to like. I don't play a lot of video games. Like I like the idea of video games, but I never do because I feel bad if I play them. But now that my kid is old enough, both of them, like we're playing like Diablo 3 together, all three of them on Switch, and then Calvin's home from school, so we'll play a little bit of video games.
Yeah.
But the goal is like he has to read not just his fun books, but all his like history books, and then do a bunch of math. Or he has to do a huge workout, and then we can do a little bit of game time.
Well, see, that's the truth. I try to do that. I'm like, you have to do something active first, but I have to be careful because if Rowdy thinks that I'm saying he has to do jujitsu first, he's like, oh, but you just care about jujitsu, and I'm like, no. I said like you could lift, you could go for a run, but you have to do something physical before you spend hours on a video game,
And you don't want to penalize them. And like, I want them to enjoy physical activity. I don't want to make a bad thing. I want them to enjoy reading. I don't want this to be a penalty.
It's hard to balance that.
If you don't, you'll end up feeling terrible playing video games for a couple hours. You get up.
Right.
I guess I think one of the questions I really want to ask is, what do you think jiu-jitsu teaches kids that they're not getting elsewhere in their lives today?
I really think, in life we have hard things come up, really hard things as you go through it, whether it's a teenager, an adult. And that's what I think the biggest thing kids can take away from jiu-jitsu is that like you can go through something really, really hard and you can be okay on the other side of that. To me, that's really powerful. Like you can go through a really hard round, you can get smashed, you can, get taken down really hard and you can get up and you can be okay. And I think that's life. I think in life, all of us, we don't go through without problems. We're going to face problems where we want to quit and it just feels too hard and it feels like it's too much. And to me, I think that's so powerful for kids to learn, whether it's learning their own confidence from that, not knowing that they can do something and finding that they can, or learning that, sometimes I just want to give up and this feels too hard and I can't do this anymore, and learning to push through that, and they can. Like, to me, that's probably the overall biggest thing that kids can get from jiu-jitsu, in my opinion.
I 100% would have said the same thing.
Yeah.
I would say adults too.
Yes. Yep.
It teaches you not to be a victim.
Yep.
Right? Because that's going to get you nowhere.
Yeah. And we're all going to go through really hard stuff. And it's just, you got to get through it and face it. And on the other side, it'll be okay.
Yeah, no, I agree.
Yeah.
All right. Last question I have for you, or maybe it's like a series of questions that are connected.
Okay.
So you've been at Easton for what now? 5, 6, almost 6 years now since you're
5 years.
5 years.
Yep.
And you've been all over the mat. So I guess the first question I asked, like, what advice would you have for like women that want to start out or that are struggling with training currently?
I would say push through the fear. I can remember early on, every time I would come to class, just having that like anxiety ball in my stomach of like, why am I, who am I to think I can do this? What am I even doing? Why am I even doing this? But knowing that there was something that I wanted to get from it, because I obviously thought about it and was intrigued by it enough. And so learning to push through, learning to not worry so much about what everybody's thinking and looking at while I'm doing it. Like, I think that was something that, like, you kind of can be in the center of this mat and there's all these people in the academy and you kind of feel like, oh, I look like a fool, but nobody's thinking you're a fool. You know what I mean? Like, actually, what's the beautiful thing that I learned is that, like, everybody is there to support you and help you get through all of that. So, yeah, I would say push through those moments, push through those thoughts of like fear or doubt or just worrying that you don't know what to do. Nobody does when they first come on the mats, but you won't learn if you don't do it. So.
Okay. Well, what about the challenge of size and strength, right? Like, what do you do with, like, men have testosterone, right? And like, there aren't a lot of 120-pound. There are some, put this way, not a lot of 120-pound people on the mat because there's not as many females. Because it's hard being smaller, and there's not as many men that weigh 120 pounds or adults. So how do you deal with the size battles and strength differences and all that you face? Or is it an issue, or is that some bullshit in my head I'm making up?
I think there's times it can be an issue. Like, I can think of times where I'm stuck underneath somebody that's larger than me. And a lot of times what I'll tell myself is, like, if this were a real self-defense situation, this person might be this big and I got to get out of here. Right. Like, I don't get to pick who would, come after me in a real self-defense situation. So what if this was like an attacker? And, like, that's kind of some thoughts that I've gone through in the past when I've dealt with that. But,
I love that.
Yeah. And then just like learning my own attributes. Like, I can be faster because I am small. I can get out of situations because I can get my knee to elbows and connect in places that they can't.
Knee slices.
Yeah. Like, there's things that my own attributes that help me deal with people larger than them, and learning that, like, maybe being on their back is a better idea, and just kind of strategy around training with bigger people and stuff like that. And you've helped me a lot in comp training lately with different ideas of, like, hey, don't try to wrestle the big guys, And I remember one time in Boulder, River was over there watching me in a randori, and I tried to wrestle a brown belt that was way bigger than me. He's like, "What were you thinking?" I'm like, "I don't know." I thought I'd see if I could get a single leg. I don't know.
Man, I have this picture. I need to find it. It was in Brazil, and it was the semifinals, and I was a purple belt, and we're on these like freaking pretzel mats. And I was like 170 pounds at the time. I was maybe 28 years old. And I'm facing this guy, and I look like David and Goliath. He was at least 420. He was 6'3", 400-something pounds, huge. And I'm like, I got this. And this is back at purple belt when I didn't do as much jiu-jitsu, it was mostly wrestling. And I shot him on a double leg, and boom, I just landed on the bottom. He's like, I'm like on the bottom, my arms like this, face down. I was able to crawl out and get on top and like win the match at the end. But I remember that moment, like, okay, you can't double leg everybody, Mike.
Yeah, right. Yeah, totally. And I think another thing that helps me is I've learned I trust my training partners for the most part. I feel like we all have a pretty good mutual respect on the mats, all the people that I train with. And if I do sense any kind of issue, I try to speak up. And that's something that was really hard for me to learn. Like if I felt like somebody was going too hard with me and stuff, and learning how to find my voice and be like, hey, I need you to pull back a little bit. I feel like I might get hurt or something that the way you're training with me. I think that's something that's really powerful and hard for women in particular that I've talked to learn to do. Because I think it's important to speak up for yourself too. So
Yeah, it's scary
that's how
though,
I
right?
felt with it.
That's a
It is
scary thing to
scary.
do. That's not
It
easy.
can,
Like I know you just said
no,
that. It's not easy to do.
no, it's terrifying. I can recall a moment when it happened. I remember there was a gentleman on the mat he was going real hard with me, and I got mad and got spicy back, and I eventually just ended it and was like, we're done. And I walked off the mats, and then we discussed it later, and he was like, I thought I was meeting your intensity. And it was like, yeah, but your 80% is very different from my 80%. And like, we had to kind of have that conversation of like, of him learning and me learning to speak up, and him learning that, oh, like, I think
Did
I
he learn?
understand. Um, I don't know if he learned
Did he still
100%,
train with him?
but no, not anymore.
He probably
No,
didn't learn.
he was, yeah, yeah. It was but it was a really powerful moment for me to learn to just stop. I felt unsafe. I stopped the roll and spoke up for myself in that moment. But
That's what you did. You weren't like a victim of your circumstance. You stood up for yourself. And again,
yeah,
I am not saying this is easy. That sounds
right.
scary and hard and frightening and
Yeah,
all that stuff, right? But
right.
you did it, and you probably felt more empowered afterwards, and
I
probably willing to
did.
do it again. And now you can
I
teach
did.
others.
Exactly, exactly. Because I don't think I'd really ever had to before then. Maybe my coaches had spoken up for me and stuff like that, but I had never had to do it myself. And it was a moment where I had to do it myself. And yeah, it was very empowering afterwards for sure. So
There's a story that I wanted to ask about that we started talking about right after the call happened. And it's about Tyra's son, Rowdy, who's a freshman at Longmont High. But this story is incredible. So why don't you just go ahead and share and like give us
okay,
the details and let's hear it. I think this is a really powerful, just fucking incredible experience. Like it's mind
yeah.
blowing to me.
So I'll be very mindful of the beginning of it, because so what basically happened, there was a situation on the wrestling team with a friend of his that was uh, not okay, and he the friend spoke up to administration and coaches and let them know that something had happened, and basically there wasn't a lot done about it right away. This person was victimized in a certain way by another member on the wrestling team, and um, when spoke up, that person left the team, but the person that was that did the I don't know how to, it's hard for me to speak about it, but the person that did it was still allowed to be on the team and continue competing for the wrestling team. Um,
So the person,
Rowdy,
yeah, just to be clear, the
yes,
person, the perpetrator, or whatever
the
you the
perpetrator. That's the word I was trying to.
the
Yeah,
the villain of the story. He's not. He's a
yes,
kid, so I don't call him a
yes,
villain.
yes.
But he's a kid. But like the person that made the mistake, that did the
Yes.
thing, was allowed to stay, and the
Mhm.
person that was the victim of the situation ended up quitting because of they didn't make any changes.
Yes. Yeah. So yes, thank you for making that better for me.
I don't know.
So anyways, Rowdy, when he found out about it, was like, coach has 1 week to kick this kid off the team. And if he
Rowdy's
doesn't, I
14,
quit.
the freshman.
Rowdy is 14. He's like, if he doesn't, I'm going to quit. He was advised, both my boys were advised to maybe talk to the coach and tell them how they feel and things like that. Wyatt in particular was like, I don't want coach to do something because I have said, hey, you should do something. I want coach to do something because it's the right thing to do. And Rowdy felt the same, and neither one of them chose to talk to coach. They just wanted to see how it would be handled. The week came through, and the kid was still on the team, still practicing, had still, done the tournament over the weekend. That next day, or that week hit, and Rowdy's like, that's it, I'm quitting. So practice was Saturday morning. I told him that if you are going to quit, it's important that you do it to their face. You're not just going to quit. You're just going to not show up. And so he's like, okay. So I drove him to practice that morning. He walked in, met coach in the hallway, said, can I talk to you for a minute? He said, I know what happened. I am not, I don't like how it was handled. I feel like you could have done better. I feel like you could have reached out to the victim, and I feel like the perpetrator shouldn't have still been on the team. And I don't want to be on a team that handles it that way. So thanks for the opportunity to wrestle with you. Shook his hand and left. Um, and came back out to the car and immediately started to cry because he felt like he let the coach down. But that's his heart, is that
Yeah.
he doesn't want to let people down. And I explained to him that sometimes in life, when we do the right thing, we can't do the right thing without letting somebody down. And what's important is we don't let ourselves down. And in this moment, you also didn't let a really good friend down. And I understand that you feel like you let coach down, but it's important to keep those things in mind. And since then, the coach reached out to me right away and was like, what's happening? And I explained, my son is somebody who speaks up when he feels like something isn't being, like, if he feels like something is wrong, he kind of seeks justice. And if he doesn't feel like it's being served, he's going to be somebody that says it. And that's what he's doing. And I've explained to him, that maybe there's protocol that's keeping you from doing things and stuff like that. But he feels like there were other things that could have been done that you didn't do, and everybody kind of tried to get him back on the team. There was another meeting with another coach who got really emotional, and Rowdy just stood his ground again and said, this is how I feel and this is what I'm doing. And because of it, the kid did get kicked off the team. They did have meetings with the team and explain that culture needed to change, and a little bit of things that Rowdy was asking for. And he chose to still not get back on the team because, like he said, they should have done it to begin with. They shouldn't have done it just because he quit. He's really good. And he feels like, they kind of were more worried about losing a star wrestler than they were about upholding justice in the moment. And that's what he's standing for. So I'm really, really, really proud of him. I've explained that, there's grown adults that struggle to be able to have the courage to do things like that. And it's pretty powerful that not only did he have the courage to do it, but he did it with a lot of integrity and respect. And he was very mature about how he handled it. So
I love that story. And I think
yeah.
I want to be clear, like, we don't know. I think you pointed to this. We never know what happened in the background of the
Right.
school. And
Yes.
I think what the beautiful thing that Rowdy made up, this is the part that I find just, and hopefully you coached him, or maybe he's just this smart, but like, there's like the part that blows my mind is like, okay, maybe there's administrative stuff that you couldn't do that I don't understand, but there are things you could have done, like reach out to the victim, like had a whatever they are. There are things you could have taken, and you did not do those actions, and that is why I'm leaving. Like, I'm not saying their hands were tied. I'm not saying the kid should have been killed right away, but like, I love like the open-mindedness to like, I don't know all the details, but you still did nothing. And you need to do the bare minimum. Like, you need to make a big change in the statement. And Roddy stood up for that. And I respect that so much.
Yeah, because he was very much like, they better do this. And I did help him through the thought processes of like, okay, well, we don't know what they're being allowed to do in some things, but I see what you're saying. And like, he absolutely, I agree. They could have done, they could have said just, hey, we miss you on the team. How are you doing, to the person? They could have said, hey, there's this thing going on. You're not going to compete for us this weekend until we figured it out. To him, those are the things that could have
just get it started. Don't just brush it over.
Yeah, don't just ignore it like it didn't happen, and that's what he was standing up for. So
yeah, I love that. Tyra, this was awesome. I have so many more questions I want to ask, but I feel like an hour is probably the limit here. I appreciate everything you do. I'm so grateful to have you at Easton, have you on the mat, have you at the comp training, have you as a kids coach for my kids. Just thank you for all you do. I really appreciate you.
Thank you. I appreciate you, and I really appreciate Easton and our community. I'm so grateful to be such a part of it. So thank you.
Have a great day.
Thanks, you too.